Today we're going to talk about all things sugar when it comes to canning. I get the question quite often, do you have to put so much sugar in it? Can I use sugar alternatives? Let's delve deep into this and find out what's going on. Hello everyone and welcome to SuttonsDaze. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and we are all about pantry preparedness. And today we're going to answer some questions, hopefully, that you have about sugar. A lot of people are diabetic, a lot of people want to reduce their sugar intake, and so the question comes up rather frequently about adding sugar in the recipes that are approved for your food preservation. As you know, most jams and jellies have a lot of sugar in them, right? Specifically with jams and jellies, as you know, you add the sugar to the product, right? And that either it pulls the liquid out of the product or any liquid that you might add to it also. So the sugar combines with the liquid and it prevents microorganisms from growing on the food. Then the way that you prevent mold growth after that is by canning it or freezing it or putting it in the refrigerator, which slows it down. If you are looking to preserve fruits or vegetables that typically in recipes require sugar be added through a simple syrup or directly into the pot for canning, there's not really a way to do it. So the best method for preserving those foods is then freezing or drying. The sugar that's specified in recipes for canning is really only there to preserve the integrity, flavor, and visual effects of the fruit and vegetable. It's for flavor and texture. There's a lot of recipes for pickling that require little or no sugar, so that's a good news. Sugar is the major means by which jams, jellies, preserves are safely put up. However, there's always a caveat. There are a lot of pectins out there now that are either no sugar or low sugar. So a lot of times when you're canning fruits, like say peaches, okay, they give you the option of a light syrup, a medium syrup, a heavy syrup, because the sugar, again, maintains the integrity of the fruit, whether it be texture or color. It's really important for that. So what you can do is go with the lightest syrup. And that is a 1/4 cup of sugar per quart of water. That's a light syrup. Let's talk about artificial sweeteners. Here's the deal. If you want to make a jam or a jelly and put it in your freezer, you know, a freezer jam or jelly, artificial sweeteners, go for it. Not a problem, okay? But if you have to add heat degrades the artificial sweetener, so they are not recommended at all for high heat processes. Artificial sweeteners give you that sweet flavor, but they don't produce the beneficial effects that normal sugar does, like the texture and the color. Another way to tackle this problem is maybe to use a light syrup, right, with your fruits. It has a little bit of sugar in it. However, then when you're ready for some peach jam, you pull out a jar of peaches, drain off the liquid. Then if you want, you can add some artificial sweetener, mash it all up, put it in the fridge, you know, and then you've got an easy one. But using artificial sweeteners during the canning process will not benefit your food at all. And it could cause bitterness because the high heat tends to make your artificial sweeteners, even if they are natural, even if it's stevia, okay, cause them to be bitter in the end product. One of the things I've always heard about sugar is that without it, like you could make a raspberry jelly, okay, or a raspberry jam. Let's go with jam. You could make a raspberry jam with no sugar added at all. No honey, no sugar, no whatever. And you can just mash that down, cook it down until it's nice and thick, put it in a jar. The problem is that if you were to can it, which you can, if you were to can it and put it on your shelf, in about 6 months, you'd have brown goo in the jar. Because without the sugar, it does not retain the color. And the texture, yeah. Now, with that being said, sugar is not a preservative, so it's very confusing, okay? Because on one hand, they say, yes, you can can the fruit in water, but you will get a better end product, a more enjoyable end product, if you have some sugar in that jar. Can you interchange sugar for white sugar, brown sugar? No. use white sugar unless the recipe calls for brown sugar. White sugar gives the product a lighter color, whereas brown sugar will make it look muddy. And it may not give you the flavor. It most likely could overpower the flavor. Okay, I'm just going to read this one straight to you because it's a bunch. Are you ready? Sugar is an important ingredient in jellied fruit products. It must be present in the proper portion with pectin and acid to make a good gel. So that is part of what creates that gel with a good pectin, okay? Sugar is the preservative for the product, preventing the growth of microorganisms. It also contributes to the taste of the product. Never cut down on the amount of sugar a recipe calls for unless syrup is the desired end result. That goes for your regular pectin. Now, I like Pomona pectin, Pomona's universal pectin, okay? Because I can do low sugar. So whereas a normal recipe using, say, Sure-Gel will have me add 6 cups of sugar, I can add 3/4 of a cup to 2 cups of sugar to the recipe that I used with Pomona's pectin. So the pectin that you use is going to determine how much sugar you have to use also. So you want to look at all the different kinds of pectin. Look for the no sugar, low sugar. Those are the ones if you're watching your sugar intake. Because again, you're not heaping on, say, we're going to use jam. You're not heaping jam onto the toast. No, sure. Wouldn't we all like to? Well, of course. I mean, it's jam, okay? But if you are somebody who cannot eat the sugar because you're diabetic, who has other health issues that says you have to cut back on your sugar intake, then you know as well as I do that those little restaurant-sized cups of jams and jellies, right? That's a serving, my friends. And you know how you can scrape that across toast so you're getting at least a little bit of the flavor without the extreme amount of jams and jellies. Portion control. It's all about portion control. There are several types of ways for freezing fruit so that it turns out good, right? There is a syrup pack, a sugar pack, a dry pack, or unsweetened pack. So there are all the different ways that you can freeze the fruit. I never add sugar to my fruit when I freeze it, ever. I just freeze the fruit, and then I figure out what I'm going to do with it later. The caveat to that is if you are freezing it and not planning on canning it, you absolutely can add artificial sweeteners. In the perfect world, we would all be able to add sugar to everything. Life would be so sweet. But that's not the case. So if you are diabetic, if you are trying to cut back on your sugar, then it's best to figure out which pectin will give you the best results. And from that point, it's all about portion control, my friends, okay? I know it's not fair and it's not fun, but what can you do? I love Pomona's universal pectin. It does not go bad. It does not expire. It can stay around forever, and you actually use significantly less of it than you do of the other kinds of pectin. So if you are interested in that, I will put a link down below, and check out this link for different videos where I'm using Pomona's universal pectin. I hope this answered your sugar questions. Until next time, be safe.